The dynamics of the Healer family are definitely one of the things that make Bluey's show almost perfect. But have you ever stopped to imagine how the same household would be if Bluey's big brother were alive? Did you know there's a photo where Chili's first child might have appeared? Older brother. If you've never watched the show or still had doubts, we have to say it's proven that Chili and Bandit did indeed have a baby before our protagonist. This is evidenced in 2 episodes. In the show, where the girls put on a small Mother's Day theater to represent how their parents met and how they imagine they came into the world. When Bingo accidentally pops the balloon under Chili's shirt, the girls have no idea, but the tense atmosphere between their parents, including Bandit holding Chili's hand in support, happens because of the return of the memory of this tragic and significant moment for the couple.
So then they...
And the second proof of the existence of a first Healer baby occurs in the episode Rainy Day. In it, towards the end, we see mother and daughter look up at the sky and see 2 simultaneous rainbows, and then they embrace. This moment symbolizes that Bluey is a rainbow baby, which are those children who come into the world after the loss of a child, which proves that Bluey wasn't the firstborn, but the second baby. So the question arises, what would the Healer families be like if Bluey's older brother had grown up with them? Let's find out. The dynamic between siblings. Many people may not have noticed, but Bluey's older brother is probably in one of the family photos. In the episode where we see the unpleasant yet funny unicorn, the girls show a photo of a younger Chili. From the background location, we can see she's in Sydney on vacation, and probably Bandit took the photo himself. If we look closely, we'll notice that Chili's belly is slightly rounded. This could mean that at that moment, the girl's mother could have been pregnant. And most likely, it would be with Bluey's unborn brother, which means he's in that photo in a way. Considering that the tragedy of the miscarriage never happened, he would have been born and grown up. Let's assume he would be a boy, just like Bandit and all his siblings. So, how would he be raised by the same parents? We know he would be a good pup and a great son, which would make him a great older brother to the girls, which means he would definitely get along very well with the girls, and it's quite likely that in many moments where we see Bandit or Chili playing with Bluey and Bingo, we would also see him. And in honor of the Healer family's first child, today let's use #brother in the comments below. But even though he'd be an important character in the series, the truth is, the main story would still revolve around Bluey, and he would be one of the important characters for sure. Which leads us to another point. Bluey would still be the protagonist. Contrary to what some people might think, even if Bluey weren't the oldest child, she probably still would be the star of the show. To better understand this, let's use an example. Rusty. If Bluey's older brother existed, the dynamics of the Healer family would probably work more or less like Rusty's family. In it, the sporty pup is the middle child, but has an older brother he plays with and gets along with very well. And at the same time, there's his younger sister, whom he takes care of with great affection. This would basically be the same structure the Healers would have, with Bluey being close to both her older brother and the younger one, who would be Bingo. This way, we would see many of the same lessons that the episodes present, but with the change that instead of Bluey's peers, her brother would have more participation. Based on our assumptions, he would probably be 2 years older than the blue pup, allowing them to play together just as Bluey and Bingo have been doing. I don't know about you, but I think it would be really cool to see how that would happen. Bingo might not exist. At the same time that an older brother would occupy a prominent place in Bluey's series, we can say that this would greatly increase the possibility that another character might not even exist. We're talking about little Bingo, who along with Bluey is undoubtedly my favorite character. We know that Bandit and Chili have different opinions about the size of the family. This is evident in the scene censored by Disney, where Bluey's dad talks to Fido, and between the lines, we understand it's a conversation about undergoing a surgery called a vasectomy. This is a surgery done only by men that prevents them from continuing to have babies. But Bandit says in the dialogue with Fido that Chili still wants to keep her options open.
Look, I'm keen to get it done, but Chili, she wants to keep her options open, but I don't know. Do we want any more of these things running around?
Meaning the girl's mother still considers the possibility of having more babies. However, after 5 years since Bingo was born, they haven't had any more babies. Perhaps even for financial reasons. However, if the couple's first pup had come into the world and 2 years later Bluey had been born, they would probably think very carefully about having a third baby, which would put Bingo's existence in jeopardy. But in the same way, as they would have become parents at a younger age, this wouldn't affect anything, and Bingo would still come into the world in the same way. Honestly, having 3 pups in the Healer family would be really cool. What would his personality personality be like? This is definitely one of the points I most like to imagine about Bluey's unborn brother. As we said, I like to think he would be a boy and there would be the two younger sisters, much like it was with Bandit and his siblings when they were younger. So, using Bluey's dad's family as a reference, we can say that without a doubt, Bingo is more like her father than the Blue Pup herself. We can see this very clearly in the episodes Takeaway and Mini Bluey. Bluey, on the other hand, has a different temperament and personality, but at the same time, it resembles both Chili and Bandit a bit. For example, she has her father's creativity while also having her mother's wisdom. She's also very lazy about doing physical exercises or going to places she's never been, as we see in the episode The Creek. So we can say she resembles, at least in this sense, Stripe, who always loses in squash matches to Bandit. With this, we can deduce that Bluey's older brother would probably be more like other family members, such as Uncle Radley and, who knows, Grandpa Mort himself, who really enjoys nature. So, we can imagine that the older brother would be a responsible person and could even help the girls with their school activities when necessary. And he could also take the two sisters to the park from time to time and play with them in various different ways. He could even teach Bluey how to ride a bike, as he would probably learn to pedal before her. So, he would definitely help his parents a lot, especially when taking care of the girls, especially when they were at work. Now, let's talk about how all this would be very good for Bandit. But first, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because surely we deserve your subscription, don't you think? Bandit could play again. As time went by, as he grew up, the older son would increasingly help the parents, which would be great for everyone in a way. We can imagine, for example, that both Bandit and Chili would have more time to rest, since whenever they have some free time, they're playing with the girls or taking them to the park. If the couple's first child could do that for them, occasionally, of course, they could sleep more, who knows? Or even Bandit could go back to doing what he loves, playing rugby. Because in the episode Fruit Bat, we see Chili mentioning that the girl's dad is probably dreaming that he's playing his favorite sport, which later proves to be true when Bluey finds him in her crossover dreams. Bluey's mom explains to her that Bandit no longer has time to play with friends like he used to, since when he's not at work, he takes care of the girls and plays with them, which in fact is the fate of good fathers and mothers in the end. But yes, for sure, having an older son could help Bandit go back to playing with his friends like he hasn't done in a long time. What caused the miscarriage? Like the rest of the video, of course, we're going to talk about hypotheses now too. Losing a child is something really significant, and we know it permeates the memories of parents forever, as is the case with Chili and Bandit. But thinking about it, a question comes to mind. What caused the miscarriage that took the first healer puppy out of life? We have a few possibilities in mind about this. The first one is related to the fact that after learning the story of Aunt Brandy, we can understand that on the mother's side of the Bluey family, there's a medical history of difficulties in having babies. Since Brandy is the older sister, probably Chili knew there was a risk of the same thing happening to her. So, this is the first hypothesis about the loss of the first healer baby. Another theory would be that serious news caused a great emotional impact on Bluey's mom, which caused the miscarriage. And, as you may have already guessed, this terrible news would be the death of Chili's own mother, who we know was no longer alive when the two girls came into the world. This would be a second possibility that would actually be doubly sad, as it would involve the loss of two family members at once. But the fact is that this is a question that doesn't have an answer at the moment, and it's quite likely that this won't be something addressed in the future, as it would make such a fun and cheerful show a bit sadder. But that doesn't change the fact that Bluey is one of the best shows nowadays, and it will surely last many, many years. And soon, we'll have news about the 4th season of the series. As a special gift, we're leaving 2 videos on the screen for you to watch. Just choose one. See you next time!